Hey guys, this is Eric Connor, and I am here with the Reform Way with the mildly wild co-host of mine, Mr. Peter Pohl.
The Mr. Pushback Man. Pushback Man. I'm not quite used to this setup here yet. It's so professional.
It is, isn't it?
It's like, I almost feel like we're at a real life podcast.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know how I'm going to, do we need makeup for this anymore? It's just because it's more like radio-ish.
No, we hired you because of your radio face.
Okay. I did see your earlier podcast earlier today with Coach Corey.
Okay.
Our director and producer.
Yes.
And I did notice that you look great because you were completely hidden behind this thing. I saw just the top of your head moving. So you've improved.
I appreciate that. There are strategic ways for everything.
Oh, yes.
And I appreciate you noticing that, Peter. So thank
Eric,
you.
I'm always looking at you in a lot of ways.
Perfect. Well, I'm also happy that you are having your first involvement of anything professional with what we have here.
It's really tough, but I'm doing my best to keep it as professional as possible, sir.
Perfect. Right on. Well, guys, real quick on today's show / podcast / whatever you're kind of following this on, we're going to be touching on a few different points. We're going to be touching on a member within the community, Brandon Thomas, and kind of a situation there. And then we are also going to be talking about nutrition with regards to the Whole30 and a nutrition challenge coming up and kind of different topics on that. So first and foremost, going into that, for those of you guys that may not have been around or may not have heard, we got some tragic news a couple of weeks ago within the Reform community, especially of one of our members, Brandon Thomas, passing away. Terribly, for those of you guys that may not have known him. Amazing person, lit up a room. Everyone knew him when he was around, regardless of if you had ever met him or not. You knew if you took a class with him. Great guy, 38 years old. Leaves behind his wife and 2 children. So that's definitely been a challenge, rocking all the people that were not expecting anything like this. So
True.
Myself included. This is very difficult for everyone to take. There's been some time to cope. There's been a great memorial service that was amazing for a lot of us to be able to attend. But what we want to do here is we want to really honor Brandon, his involvement in the community, his involvement in his own personal, amazing life, and really just talk some positives about kind of like our interactions with him and experiences and kind of like what we're doing within the gym, just regarding all of that. So Pete, talk to me about Brandon.
Well, it's interesting. I first got to meet Brandon. I really first got to know Brandon. I think I posted this on the Reform site, but For those who might not have read my witty post, I will tell you the story. We were doing Double Dare.
Okay, which Double Dare?
Is a couple years back, and it was the first experience that I had doing Double Dare here. It's a partner workout, and it kind of celebrates the gym. Mm-hmm. And so Brandon was new to the gym at the time, and he was looking for a partner. He just kind of wandered in. I think it was on a Saturday. Yep. And a gentleman named Hank came in, and I didn't really know Hank either. Hank, I call him Sprinkle. He hates that. Is a competitive, very kind-hearted gentleman who I've gotten to know over the course of time, and I really love Hank. Really love Amy, too. And so Hank was Brandon's partner.
Luckily for Brandon, right?
Lucky for Brandon. And by the way, Hank is also a baseball coach, so this is a pretty funny part of the story. So I was working out with Jeff Parker at the time, and it was a partner WOD. It was a kind of a rotating. One was on a bike, and then one was resting. Then one had to do pull-ups, and one was resting. And as Brandon started to fade like a cheap suit, Hank got more and more agitated and started to basically say, "Come on, Brandon, get the F in gear. You are killing us." It goes, "What's the matter with you, Brandon? I look at Brandon, I thought he was going to cry. Then I looked at Hank and I said, "What an asshole." Well, as it turns out, Hank is not really an asshole. Hank, I love you. But it was so funny to watch these two interact. By the time they were done, I thought Brandon was going to quit the gym. And then I saw Hank later. I go, "Hank, why are you so mean to this guy?" And Hank goes, "I just get a little intense." And in the course of time, Hank and Brandon became pretty good friends. And Brandon got to know everybody at the gym fairly well. We do a thing on Saturdays where after the workout, we would go and have eggs or egg burritos at a little taco joint next door. Brandon started to come to those, and we got to hear more about Brandon's real estate career, his professional career, his family, his wife. And Brandon was, what struck me about Brandon amongst many things, he was a very, very smart kid on a lot of subjects. And during the course of the time, I've got to know him and was just kind of impressed with just his overall breadth of knowledge and his kind of a dry sense of humor. I wish I got to know him better. Like a lot of life, you regret what you don't what you miss
Right.
and that you don't have. And I know his passing hit, besides his family, hit a lot of people here very hard. Life is really short, and it reminds me to enjoy every day in the present and don't take anybody for granted.
Right.
And regardless of the situation, just be kind to people. And
Yeah.
just a nice kid. I wish I knew more. I could tell more stories. I'm sure everybody in this gym has substantially more information, more personable stories, but that was just right off the top of my head what I remember about Brandon.
Yeah, totally. So you're completely right on. I do remember the experience of him partnering with Hank. I believe he didn't have a partner last minute. I think he might have even shown up that day and just thought it was a regular class, if I remember that correctly. And I think we told Hank the same thing, just like, whatever, just come out and we'll partner people up. And that was the best.
But
situation.
Hank should have known better, because Hank was probably 6 years into CrossFit at that point of his career.
Hank's a hardcore,
Yeah.
hardworking,
And Hank's
competitive
coached,
guy.
so Hank is not like he
Yeah.
doesn't.
No, he gets into it. Yeah, he gets into it. You guys should ask Ricardo about his recent interaction in their recent competition and how that went. That's comical as well. But yeah, so like my interaction with Brandon, which is really funny, happened before any connection to the gym, which was weird how we got connected into the gym realm. I actually when I grew up, I had a lot of issues with my throat. So like strep throat about 10 different times, terrible. And then I had an abscess once, had it drained, which was really weird in college. Should have taken my tonsils out, but we were in sports and they just rush you back.
Do you still have your tonsils?
Not now, as of the situation where I was with Brandon. Okay. So then 3 years ago, about right around Christmas, I thought I had strep again. Didn't. They gave me antibiotics, gave me shots. I had to go see an ENT, and I saw the ENT, and he was like, "Nope, you got an abscess again. We need to emergency take your tonsils out tomorrow morning." And this was 3 days before Christmas, so crazy. And then so there was that night, they sent me across the street from Mission Hospital to the screening place where Brandon was, because he did CT scans.
Oh, really?
And he's very close friends with Abby in the gym.
Okay, that's where Abby's
so they worked together.
Got it.
Yeah, and so I knew Abby had worked over there at times. So he was actually the one administering to me, and I was kind of talking to him real quick. I was having a miserable time because it was rough, and we were in a rush to get somewhere else to a family event that night. He was super laid back, super helpful, like on top of life, like, "Hey man, yeah, no, we'll totally help you out," and like and like really made me calm down in a situation that was really rough. But then we started talking about CrossFit and fitness and stuff like that. And he's like, "Oh, my friend does CrossFit," and I was like, "Do you know Abby?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so they were all close. And then sure enough, like 3-4 months later, he came to a Bring a Friend Day.
Okay.
And I was like, "Hey," and he's like, "Hey," and then we were all close again. And then he ended up starting up right after that.
Well, so what you're saying is that your tonsils and the lack of you taking proper attention when you were a youth, or your parents' lack of doing it, I know who those parents are too, lack of paying attention to your tonsils, was the reason Brandon came to the gym.
The exact reason. Had nothing to do with Abby's involvement in the gym
Abby
or
who?
her great interaction and experiences with him. Yeah, totally nothing. Totally my parents' negligence and poor antibiotics that didn't clearly.
I knew antibiotics were going to come to this thing. That's another subject though.
Totally. That's a whole different topic we can get to, right? So I absolutely loved Brandon from day one. He was kind-hearted, which you could tell. And no one likes going into medical type things, going into a hospital or anything like that. And he made that situation so smooth for me. But then seeing him at the gym was great. One fun thing, like from us coaching, and especially the first time, was like, let alone that he'd always come in about 5 to 20 minutes late, occasionally, typically because of work or something like that. And he would just get right to it with us, is like right after he'd finish a workout. I don't know if you ever saw, but sometimes he would be just soaked in his head. And you're like, "Oh my goodness, this guy's dying. Like, this is not going to go well." Sure enough, after like a couple of weeks of paying attention to this, we found out that right after a WOD, he would go into the shower, turn the shower on his hands and knees, and just soak his head so that he would calm his like his internal temperature down. But we didn't know he was doing that, and he'd come out just soaking wet, and we thought he was like dying.
We thought it was your hard WODs you guys were
doing.
Coach Corey would presume. But
yeah. But that was always kind of fun.
Yeah, I remember that. Now that you say that, I remember him always coming out and he said it would always cool his core down.
Yeah.
He was always worried about overheating.
Yeah. And apparently, I mean, I guess
makes some sense.
So he had some stuff there. So some cool things going on though. I don't know if you saw, but we've been posting in a lot of the members type things and kind of helping within the community get the info out. But there is a GoFundMe for their family. A lot of people have donated that. They're actually, I think, right around 20 grand right now.
That's nice.
Awesome.
That's very nice.
Awesome. anything can help there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially this time of year. It's just a tough time of year. It's a tough time of year to lose anyone anyway.
Yeah.
Especially someone that a family member, and especially your father. That whole dynamic.
Yeah.
And it couldn't be any more crappy than this time of year, frankly.
No. So we feel our thoughts and prayers are obviously with the family. Within the gym, it's never an easy thing when a member passes. This, it's
how many members have you lost here? I just want to know, just in case, because I'm getting a little bit older.
I know, right? We've lost 3. We've lost 3 all at different times. It's a difficult thing on our end. This is absolutely not about us, by the way. Right?
I think it's Dane's next.
Very well could be.
Okay.
But it's difficult because in the dynamic of what we get into with staffing and even just the community overall, it's a very close-knit environment, right? Community-wise and coaching to them, because you feel like you help guide them through things. You help people. It's almost like it's kind of like all of the members are kind of like children of yours that you care for, and
it's definitely
help.
Family. That's, and it's just like when you said you've lost 3, and I know I said kind of said cavalier, but it just
right.
I've never been in a job, or I've never been in, well, family is different, but I've never been in something like this dynamic where members pass.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been around CrossFit longer than I have, but it's just, and actually it's probably a dynamic of the community in itself. It's just part of life itself. But it's interesting how that stretches into this, which I never thought it would.
Right.
But now it's already happened. I've been involved with this gym for twice, but you've been involved 3 times here.
Yeah.
So.
And it's again the hard thing on our end, right? Is we have personal interactions with these people, right? So like Brandon, for example, right? I love the guy. I feel close with him. We've connected on different things, which is difficult on his coaching thing. And then the really hard part too is telling everyone else.
Yeah.
Like I before this, like these situations, before having the gym and before having kind of members and stuff like that, like I'd never had to tell someone that someone else had passed away that they care about. And it takes a toll on you. It hurts, like if anybody came to classes the day that we had to start telling people, Zeus coached 6 classes and like he was crying every single class. I
can imagine. I just can't. Well, I can't imagine.
No. And then also, you're helping other people that are crying too, because they're hearing about this and you're just like, it's a challenging thing.
And it's regardless of the way everybody passes, is what's also weird is that one of the reasons we do CrossFit is for its mental and health benefits. And then when you lose a member, it's like you shouldn't go. You're well balanced.
Right.
Everything's okay. You're physically okay. You're mentally okay. You've got your shit together. And when you lose somebody there, it's also adds another blow of God. I never saw that train coming.
Right.
That's what makes
whatever it could be.
And by the way, that train does come a lot of different ways.
Always.
But it does. But it's still kind of it's a difficult dynamic. It just is. But I can imagine as a friend and a coach, as a mentor, that it's especially hard on you guys.
Right.
Besides, obviously, the community that have to go through these things and just move forward.
Yeah, we all come together. It gives the time to come together. Kind of leading into that, what's fairly common in certain ways, and we've done it for Jerry Ray, who is a humongous part of our community, and we even have an award for him and all those kind of things. If you guys didn't know him, amazing guy as well. We had a workout for Jerry. We do have a workout plan for Brandon. Which takes some time to kind of let those things settle and get people ready to kind of do that. But what we do have is, I believe right when this thing's coming out might be even the day that we're starting to do that workout. But we are going to do a workout that's fun to memorialize him, kind of involving with him. So even here, it's for those of you that understand this stuff, it's going to be pretty fun. So it's going to be 38 total minutes, which is the age Brandon. So some different fun things. Also, this was aided to be put together by Ms. Abby.
Okay, Abby, I blame you for this workout.
So it is mildly Abby's fault, if you guys don't like it. But yeah, so she got to help a ton with this. Partner workout though, so it's nice. The first 35 minutes, 0 to 35 minutes is like an AMRAP. You run 300 meters with a sandbag. The fun thing about the sandbag kind of connotation is that it's almost the same weight that he lost. So he lost 48 pounds in his journey in CrossFit. Our sandbags were anywhere from 45 to 50. We don't really weigh them. But so 300 meters of the sandbag goes deadlift, wall ball, and calorie row. 20 deadlifts, 40 wall balls, 60 calories on the rower. All things he was good at and he liked. And then you kind of keep moving through that for 35 minutes. Then for the last 3 minutes, 35 to 38, you do partner AMRAP of max bar muscle ups, which was something that he was working on. So some people will be working on them in that workout, or it's going to be like a highest level pull up ability there, kind of to play around with it.
Well, your partner could actually push you up. Oops, could actually push you up.
Yeah.
So that'd be
there you go. There you go. We could try that. Assisted ones. Feet. Hold your feet.
Exactly. I can do that one.
That's a fun one. Yeah. So that'd be kind of cool. And even before that, we're going to do what we call a bro sesh, which is some bench press and bicep curls, which is what he was all about. So that'll be fun. And we're going to wear long socks or goofy headbands.
Yes. And Brandon always had the long socks on. He always had like compression socks to his knee. I wasn't sure the particular methodology he was trying to do there. Maybe it was a fashion statement. I'm not quite sure, and the headband kind of worked for him, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah. He always looked good. So kudos to you. Rest in peace, Mr. Brandon.
Love you, Brandon.
We're proud of you. We're happy to have you around. We're happy you're part of the community. And you'll be memorialized with one of our awesome workouts for the gym. Moving forward, we're going to talk real quick about we have an upcoming in the new year Whole30 Partner Challenge coming up. We can talk a little bit about challenge details and things like that, but I want to talk a little bit about what Whole30 is, really. Do you know anything about it, Peter?
Well, it's funny you ask, Eric. Eric actually asked me beforehand what Whole30 was, and I have a vague idea, which I know he will correct me on as we go. But basically, the way I understand it, you basically subtract all the food groups in your diet without dying for 30 days, and then you add them back one at a time until one of them gives you projectile diarrhea. Then you think that one is not good for you. Am I getting close?
You're about as good at explaining that as you are your open wad descriptions.
Well, I will say this, that once we start to talk about this, I have a group of things that I can put on my Whole30 list right now I will never eat again.
Possibly.
Pick up sticks.
Yeah. We were supposed to be filming this, and then Peter had pickup sticks that day. How did that go?
Well, I've been trying to eat more cleanly and trying to eat, so I try to eat like more veganish, if you will, plant-based dieting for 3 or 4 days a week, and then supplement clean, meat products and during the rest of the week. So I decided
like pickup sticks.
So I decided to have pickup sticks as the little woman asked me to pick some Chinese up. So I had, on the way home to Love Goddess, I got her some chicken products and I had curry tofu. Big mistake. So the next day I'm out with a client at lunch, and right up during the middle of lunch, she's having Greek food. I said, I'm not eating anything. By the time I got in the car, I was calling Eric. I said, I cannot make the filming today, Eric. And Eric was not empathetic. He goes, why not? I go, I think I'm going to throw up and have projectile diarrhea simultaneously. Meanwhile, I got home and I did an AMRAP, barfed as many times as I could per minute, and then had number 2 as many times as I could for the secondary minute. Now this lasted 6.5 hours and I Googled, was it food poisoning, 24-hour virus? And I am under the conclusion that I didn't have the flu because I never got, after that one day I was fine. So it was either a real quick 24-hour flu, or I suspect I'm either somewhat allergic to tofu, or most likely I'm very allergic to pickup sticks. So I pick up sticks. I'm sure everybody else loves you. Personally, I need a major apology for what I had to eat.
So this episode's sponsored by Pickup Sticks.
Yeah. So that's my Whole30 story.
Okay, perfect.
So what is Whole30?
Please let me start with that. It has nothing to do with Pickup Sticks, or there's nothing on Pickup Sticks menu that you can get this Whole30 minus the water. So Whole30 is something that we've worked with a few times in the community and seen very successful results. So we can kind of talk about that if that's the right place down the line. Whole30 is essentially kind of like, it's like an elimination diet, kind of like a detox, and it's not necessarily of all types of food. It's just of essentially you just eat real food. So you do detox things that could cause inflammation or issues within the system that have been found with certain people, not necessarily everyone.
Do they give you a list?
Yes, they do. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Psychologically, it's actually much easier than it sounds. It's 30 days of no cheats, which is where you can legitimately detox, versus like if you did 5 days well and then 2 days off and it didn't really settle, right? So yeah, it's 30 days of no cheats, ideally, is how the true successful program goes.
So when you say no cheats, what's cheats? Means like eating between meals?
No. So like, let's say the things that you cut out are, it's like dairy, added sugars, grains, Let's see, what else? Alcohol, things like that. All the things that when I say it,
I'm
people
sorry,
think are fun.
back up one more.
Yeah. Alcohol.
We got a problem. Can we do Whole30?
I'm not making you do it per se, Peter, but it would be a good thing to test. But anyway,
I can do it.
but yeah, you probably could. But with it is that you don't have that. You eat real food, so like meat, vegetables, nuts, seeds, like real food. Just lots of meats and vegetables, especially, or something like that. And then essentially what it does is it helps you detox the food from your system. And then either at the end, there's a few different ways to reintroduce it that you can go about it. But what happens is best is that you reintroduce certain food groups in different ways. And then you can see if your body reacts to them negatively or not. So then you can really kind of tell for you personally where your personal irritations are, which is different. And we have seen is very different for all people who have done it. We've done challenges before.
Well, I'll give you the semi pushback a little bit. What I've heard in the industry is that it's very difficult from a nutritional science point of view to take off something for 30 days and when putting it back in your system, your body adapts fairly quickly. So therefore you can be irritated or you can have negative consequences of putting foods that back in your system that you may not have necessarily be subject.
Have an issue towards.
Right. That being said, I think it's a great idea. I think maybe a Whole30, and again, I'm just talking out loud here, a Whole30 is always a good idea. And I think that everything you're saying about eating cleaner, whether it's Whole30 eat cleaner, and does that also subtract dairy?
Is dairy subtracted in Whole? Yes.
When you say dairy, does that include eggs?
No, you can eat eggs.
Okay, so just pure dairy. And by the way, I've heard a lot of negative, I shouldn't be careful about this. I've heard a lot of stuff, even on both sides of the storyline, about dairy may be one of the few things that it wouldn't be a bad idea for us to rethink about having anyway, from the cheeses and all the way through. It's very difficult for 60% of the population to enjoy those.
Yeah, and again, like the idea and the reason why we're doing the Whole30 challenge and those types of things are very true. I mean, what we've seen in at least this, you're right, with different challenges for people. What we've seen in this is mostly just, it's a good way for people to make sure it's very clear cut and it structures them really well. I thought the first time I did it 3-4 years ago that it was going to be terrible, like the hardest thing in the world. But it was funny. After about 6-7 days, you just don't think of the other things. You don't think of dairy as an option. You're like, oh yeah, if I'm going to get a burger, I'm just going to get it this lettuce wrapped and these things on it and eat it with mustard or something like that. And you just kind of get used to it. And then it really makes it easy. It's much more like a habit that you build. And that's kind of the idea behind it. And then the other piece of it is really that, you can find those issue areas, right? Again, so like personally, I wasn't sure what I was allergic to. I don't really have, I eat pretty clean a majority of the time. But isn't
your biggest issues that you lose weight easily?
Part of it, yeah. So like I did Whole30 and was able to not lose weight because I did it intentionally that way. I ate enough and I found the right areas to eat enough. So it's not necessarily just a weight loss thing.
Eric has a really interesting problem for most of us out there. Most of us out there see food and we put a pound on. Eric sees food and he loses a pound.
Yeah, lose muscle.
So he is muscle. Okay,
I have one.
So therefore, his system is not caught up where it's slowed down enough where he sees food and puts on weight easily. Right. So you're really not a fair example.
People don't have a lot of sympathy for me, and that's okay.
Exactly.
But what I've learned throughout it personally, right, again, was that legumes more than anything irritate me like crazy.
I've read a lot about legumes not being as a magic elixir as people might give credit for it. So I've heard a lot about that. I read a book called Clean Gut, and legumes is one of the things that they say be careful of.
Yeah, so it actually, because when you reintroduce it, they teach you to pay attention to different things like how you're sleeping, how your body reacts, how you're aching or not, and all these things for a couple of days. And I noticed with legumes, my joints were way achier than anything else, and they really hurt, and like all this kind of stuff. So those really caused me the most issues. So I can still eat them if I want to, but I know now what the ramifications are probably going to be if I eat too many of them.
That's a really good point, because I think it's, for me, being old, the oldest probably, well, one of the oldest guys in the gym, if not the oldest, that inflammation is really important. And for me to do as best as I can, because I always push myself in my own little world, minimizing soreness and inflammation is extremely important. So eating as clean as I can and still having my cheat moments is really important to me now, because if I don't, I can't recover fast enough to push myself, even if it's every day or every other day or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, whatever my time frame is, I can't recover quickly enough. So inflammation to me is and Whole30. We just got the cue from Corey that we're getting close to the very end here, so I got to wrap this up. So watch out for information.
But no, you're right. You're right. The key is that, and the idea behind all of these things that we're doing is to make you a better lifestyle. It's not to be perfect. We're not going to be perfect. It's to, what do you enjoy? What is worth having? What is not worth having?
I agree.
And kind of finding that right balance there. And that's what I've found for me personally, so that I enjoy it. I can perform well, but I sleep well, but I also don't have to like say no to everything when I want to.
See, you're more politically correct than I am. My bottom line is there's so many fat asses in the world. Eat better, everybody. Eat freaking better.
Yeah.
And just take care of yourself. You're all going to eventually, unlike Brandon, we're all going to pass eventually. But there's no reason to get ahead of the curve and feel miserable all the time. You have to take pills to feel, like the doctor pushes down you to keep your health up. If you eat better now, you can live healthier longer.
The best way that they put this in a lot of their info is that they say putting what you choose to put in your mouth is not hard. Beating cancer is hard. Birthing a baby is hard. Dealing with a family death is hard. Like, what you choose to put in your own mouth is not hard. That is your choice, right? So they kind of put it in really good perspective, and there's a lot of good things out of it. So the reason why we kind of like to do this for a challenge is mainly just because it helps people kind of work together. We're going to do a partnership thing. We're going to do a weekly meetup, like a weekly group meetup, kind of like a support group. Because they go through different challenges in this stuff.
So that support group is where you call someone on the phone and you go, hey, I've got this issue.
Yes.
It's kind of like
essentially
AA.
Yes. It's like AA for missing cheese. But yeah, so like we're going to do that. We're going to have the kickoff in the beginning, about middle of January, about the 11th is going to be the kickoff meeting for it. And then the 13th of January is when we're going to start.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a great one it's a good thing to learn something about yourself. It's not something you have to do perfectly forever, but it's something to really just learn and be able to utilize for you in the long term.
It's a journey.
Yep, right? Exactly. Well, either way, so guys, we want to say that's probably a good place to wrap it up.
Sure,
I would say. But we want to say thanks for watching and listening, guys, or whichever one you're doing. You can follow us or subscribe to us on video with watching it on our Facebook at CrossFit Reform or our YouTube channel at CrossFit Reform. Or you can listen to us now, Pete.
One more thing is that starting our next program, we're going to start doing giveaways again. Our national sponsors, Barbell and a couple others, are going to be giving their products away for those who push this message forward. And I don't quite get that part of it, but Eric and our executive producer, president of the organization, Chief Hunchy Chonch Corey will tell us how we're going to do that. But next episode, we're going to talk about, so tell your friends to listen. So there'll be things such as free gym workouts, barbell pants. I threw the free gym workout just because he's standing here.
Yep, I can do that.
Free liquor before the time runs out for Whole30.
There you go.
The cheat week start.
Before and after.
But we'll be able to start all that on our next episode. So to try to get this message out to more people.
Perfect. So yeah, on that, we are a podcast now too as well. So if you can listen as a podcast or follow us on iTunes, Spotify, any other real kind of podcast sources.
We're international.
We are. We're on our way, Peter. We're on our way.
God.
Great job. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Good job.